Now, I have always said when it comes to Tekken devs and the Tekken team and Bandai Namco that when they do something wrong, I think it's great for us to criticize them, and when they do something good, we should thank them and you know, let them know that we're a fan of this and this is kind of stuff we want to see. And if you guys are unaware, they recently put out, literally today or like early this morning, they put out a tweet saying here's a list of things that are important coming to the next patch. And one of the things they mentioned is they will be reverting the change that they were going to make with throws dealing chip damage. I think first thing we got to do, first things first, a big thank you. Big thank you to thank you so much, guys. Huge thank you. Thank you, Murray! Harada! This is great. This is fantastic. And in case you missed it, TLDR, we have everything here. I'll be going through all of this, but this is the main thing. Revised adjustment after community feedback. After the initial announcement, the development team received feedback from players and reconsidered one of the proposed adjustments. It was concluded that imposing a disadvantage on the offender for executing a successful throw break would be excessive, as throw breaking is a high skill mechanic that affects a player's practice and proficiency. Now, I don't know where they mentioned it. They mentioned it somewhere that the reason they did this is because they felt like throws weren't, I just realized that I've not been, here I am. The reason they did this is because they felt like throws weren't strong enough. Good players were breaking throws all the time. There was no reward for doing throws, and they brought counter hit throws into this game. I feel like throws are the strongest they've ever been in modern Tekken. I know back in Tag 2 even generic throws were command throws, but this is the strongest they've been in since Tekken 7. Command throws are really good. Throws are used as punishes for power crushes, and you can launch -14 power crushes if you have a launching throw like Law. So that's confusing to me. I feel like throws are the strongest they've ever been. To me, the whole point of, when that proposed change of adding chip damage to throws is like, it just seemed like they were trying to reinvent the wheel for no reason. Like, I'm not really sure, but again, they reverted that change. I think that's good. Another good change they've done is they're loosening the input for throw breaks when using 1+2. So say for example, you try and break a throw and you do 1-2, or you do 1+2 or 2-1+2, you do it a bit late. They're loosening that window a bit. I think that's a good thing overall. I myself sometimes plink throw breaks by accident, so I just wonder how loose this input's going to be. Like, could you option select all throws by doing 1 to the 2 and then doing something like that? Who knows? But on the surface, this is a very good change. And another thing they mentioned, now this is really important because this is something I've been mentioning for quite some time now. So regarding future adjustments, additionally, in order to address issues pertaining to the large frame advantage and heat activation and the excessive strength of heat dash, the development team is currently in the final stages of making adjustments geared towards reevaluating aspects that impact the strength of offense, and also focus on improvements in defense. Now, that was a lot of lawyer language. That was a lot of burying the lead in what they really mean. But essentially, what we'll see from this is heat engages and heat dashes, they're going to be tuned in some way. Now, what confuses me is back in the Tekken talk before the one we just had, when they showed heat engages going to full crouch and they were still -17, there was huge community outcry back then. I spoke about it. Everyone spoke about it. FDX, main man, everyone was speaking about. People made tweets. Joker made a tweet that just said +17. A lot of the Korean players were just +17. That was a huge thing back then, and that was a month ago now. I don't remember when that Tekken talk was, but it was at least, it was February, I'm pretty sure. So I'm confused as to why, how long did these changes take to implement? Because were they not listening back then? Did they not listen to the community back then? Because they didn't even say this in the most recent Tekken talk, that they're looking at heat engages and heat dashes. As far as I'm aware, they didn't mention anything about that changing. So how long have they been working on this? Did they not take that feedback into account, but they're taking into feedback now? Because again, if we take a look at the throw changes, the throw break changes, this was something, the Tekken talk we just had, in my experience with Tekken and seeing the community's reaction, being a part of the community, as long as I've been in this community, I've never seen such a unanimously negative reception to something that they've done. Actually, there's one time that sort of reminds me of it, and it's interesting because of what they did. So in case you are unaware, back in Tekken 7 season 3 or 4, they made a change to missions where they made their hell sweeps homing, and they also reduced the whiff recovery of electrics. And that is why now to this day it's still quite difficult to whiff punish electrics, even if you're on point. Now, when that happened, there was quite a huge community outcry because it just seemed unnecessary. Why would you do that? Like, everyone was saying these changes are quite ridiculous. Why have you done this? It's harder to punish someone for making a mistake. Why would you do that? If you make a mistake, you should be punished. That's basic fighting game philosophy. You whiffed an electric, you should be punished for that. You got your hell sweep stepped, you should be punished for that. But they changed it to where it's a lot harder to whiff punish the electric, and you can't step the hell sweeps anymore. And I find that funny because what did they do? They did revert a change. They made it so the hell sweeps weren't homing anymore, but the electric changes they kept in the game. And we're in a similar situation now where the entire Tekken talk, a lot of the Tekken talk was not received positively. The changes to King, the buffs to Jin, what we saw from Anna was not received positively. However, they've taken one aspect of the Tekken talk and they said, guys, we have heard you, we've seen the community feedback, and we are going to walk this back. But we still have to question the other things. What are they walking back? Anything else? Is this aggressive direction the way they're going to continue to go regardless of what we have to say? Now, I'm not trying to be Nelly negative over here, but I just want to, like, I feel like it's important to hold the developers into account. It's important to sort of say to them, like, hey, this is good, but like, what about everything else? Because we do want this game to be as enjoyable as possible. We do want this game to be as good as possible. And a quick side note on that, because I'm kind of rambling right now. The one thing that is never constructive is when people turn around and call other content creators shills. And when they say something is good, you're a shill. I find it quite funny because when we did the Heat Speak recently, that was on Spag's stream, had me, FDX, Speakers, and Joker, Spag's podcast. There were people that were calling us shills on there, saying, look at these guys shill. And we were unanimously saying the stuff we saw in Tekken Talk we did not like. We were just saying it in a constructive manner. I feel like there's this idea that if you're not attacking the devs and saying the game is shit and throwing your toys at the pram, you're a shill because you need, well, apparently we're getting paid big bucks by Bandai Namco to say positive things. But at the end of the day, we didn't have many positive things to say about that Tekken Talk. Now, I think one thing that maybe you guys might have to keep in mind sometimes, I don't know if you're one of the people watching right now that may call content creators shills for not being overly negative. At the end of the day, this game that we play has changed our lives. A lot of us, the literal trajectory of our lives has changed because of this game right here. So if a content creator like myself or a FDX, for example, isn't always shitting on the game, angry, calling the devs out of their name and going crazy, is because there is that level of understanding that without the game and you guys that consume our content, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing right now. But we are, and we're grateful, which is why we do want things to be as good as possible, and we want that to be expressed in as civil a manner as possible. You're never going to catch me calling Harada, Nakatsu, Maikamori, anyone I see welcoming these games any sort of thing, because at the end of the day, I don't know how easy or hard it is to welcome these games. However, if I do see something that I do not like, I will bring it up. Hopefully they listen, like, okay, the content creators, the players, the community, the pro players, you know, just the casual players, they're not a fan of this. They may walk this back like they have just done here. So all in all, this is a good thing. Again, my main issue, I think, with season 2 as a whole before the Tekken Talk was plus 17 heat engagers, when now you can go into full crouch because of characters like Anna, because of characters like Yoshimitsu, because of the slide characters that have amazing full crouch mix-ups. I felt like that was a bit too strong. We mentioned this also on Heat Speak as well. It's just too strong because certain characters, when they enter heat off a heat engager, there's one option you're always going to see that character do regardless of who's playing, because it's just too strong not to use. However, toning that back, bringing that back a little bit, could then help the longevity of the game, the excitement of the game. It forces people to actually use their brains after heat engager. Giving the defenders more options is something I think really would benefit this game. And they do mention that in these, I guess they're not patch notes, this little update here as well about the adjustment policy for version 2. They do mention this about giving the defender more options. So I'm pointing now, I'm like, okay, this is good. They reverse throw break chip damage. But what is happening to heat engagers? What is happening to heat dash? Personally, plus 17 is just too much. Reel it back to like a plus. I mean, I think the concept of plus frames is really lost on me in Tekken 8. just because of how big the numbers are and compared to I would expect them to normally be in Tekken. You know, plus 17 off a heat engager is crazy. You know, something being like plus 5 on hit used to be pretty good. Like, hey, I do this is plus 5, you know, plus 6, plus 7, plus 10 on hit is, it feels like a fever dream to me now. Back in Tekken 7, someone plus 10 hit, that's crazy. Plus 10 on block, that's insane. So I feel like reel that back to a plus 7, a plus, I suppose I'm not that knowledgeable of how frames work, like when I can step when it's a certain frame. Just reel back the number to a point where if they're using a big plus on block mid that might be a bit slow, I can step it, I can power crush it. I have more options to deal with it, right? Like reel that back. But I do think this is very significant. The conclusion they come to here in terms of what they're going to do regarding heat dash and heat engage is going to be really big. I think I need to know what this means moving forward, what they're actually going to do. But it's good to know this is something that they are looking at. And I just wish they mentioned this in the Tekken talk. They're like, hey guys, heat dash, unless this is something that they recently have thought of. And then just to circle back for a second, yes, we are getting the throw breaks will no longer do chip damage. But the note here says, while these changes will be applied as soon as possible, there might be a slight delay following the release of version 2.0. So what this means, when season 2 first hits your console or PC, throws will do chip damage. If I'm reading this right, those will do chip damage. So, you know, we'll have to deal with that for a little bit. I don't think it'll be enjoyable, but yeah, that's something we'll have to deal with for a little bit. They will do them. And so the adjustments are scheduled to be completed before the opening of Tekken World Tour on May 9th. So again, this is big as well because Tekken World Tour is beginning pretty soon, and with tournaments happening, like how much of an adjustment period is there going to be between this version 2.01, I guess, and season 2? It's going to be interesting. But yeah, at this point, I'm eagerly awaiting the patch notes. I want to see what they say. I want to see the changes. I'm still on the fence about a lot of things, but overall, it's good that they've listened to the community. My hope is right now is it doesn't take such a unanimous negative response to them to walk things back or be like, maybe this needs changes. That is where I'm kind of at right now. Like, as again, this is probably the second time, again, going back to the Mishima changes, the Hell Suits and Electrics, where the community has responded like this. And is that what it takes to get them to pay attention and listen to the community, be like, okay, we shouldn't be doing this, they don't like this? Like, again, I can't think of many times we've had this kind of reception. It's been received, we've heard back so quickly. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw, Harada did tweet recently, and he said that he has I personally initiated an urgent discussion and asked the team to deliberate on how to respond. So, you know, they are paying attention to this. They have seen the unanimous negative response to this. But again, my only question is this what it's gonna take? You know, I feel like there should be a middle ground, right? Like, there should be a sense of, because again, there's been so much, like, Anna's coming with a lot of chip damage. She has a debuff that applies chip damage, but chip damage has been such a negative, it hasn't been received very well by the tech community at all, but they're still keeping with it. They said chip damage has been nerfed, but Anna has a safe low in heat that does quite a bit of chip damage. So again, it's like, I'm glad they've listened in this instance. I'm glad to see that they are paying attention, but I just don't want it to end up we're in a situation where everyone needs to be up in arms and make tweets and make videos, because everyone did. Everyone that had anything to say about that Tekken Talk had nothing good to say about it. So I just hope that this is a sign of good things moving forward, that if we don't like something and we voice it the correct way and they pay attention, it will be dealt with. I just don't want a trend of everyone has to come out in force and say this is terrible, take this out, for something to be taken out. So with all that being said, thank you guys for watching this video. Please like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.